I begin with the structure of K.C.S.E. English Paper 2. This paper comprises of 4 questions. Question 1. Comprehension of what is frequently called the unseen passage. Question 2. A seen passage. This is a passage from one of the 2 compulsory science texts. The 3rd question normally tests poetry or oral literature. And the 4th question tests grammar. So therefore, a candidate preparing for English has to thoroughly prepare in these 4 questions. Straight away, I will go to each of the questions and mention some of the tips that a candidate preparing for K.C.S.E. may find useful. First of all, it is important to know that this paper takes 2.5 hours. The candidate is expected to answer all 4 questions. In other words, all questions are answered. Let us begin by looking at some of the issues in question 1. K.C.S.E. English Paper 2 question 1 is a comprehension passage, as we have observed. Unlike many comprehension questions, a range of skills are tested. Skills with regard to comprehension. I have grouped these skills into 2. The first group is high-level cognitive skills. In other words, skills that require higher level thinking. Other questions will test lower level thinking skills. In a nutshell, I am talking about high-level cognitive skills and then low-level cognitive skills. Higher-level cognitive skills may require a candidate to do some of the following. 1. Discover concepts. 2. Show cause and effect relationships. 3. Classify things. 4. Compare and contrast. 5. Make inferences. 6. Relate facts. 7. Make generalizations. 8. Abstract thinking. 9. Make value judgments. This is by no means a complete list of higher order skills, but it's just a list of some of the skills that one would categorize as higher order thinking skills. On the other hand, comprehension questions may require lower order skills, meaning that the level of thinking required in answering these questions is slightly lower. I will give examples. Number one, restating facts and information memorized earlier. Number two, simple recall of facts. Number three, definition of terms. Number four, providing descriptive statements. And number five, single word or phrase answers. And therefore, in an exam where we have a comprehension passage, for instance, this whole range of lower and higher order skills may be tested. It is therefore important that when preparing for K.C.S.E English Paper 2, a candidate has to expose him or herself to the whole range of questions, both testing higher order skills and those testing lower order skills. The Bloom's taxonomy summarizes this range of skills tested with the acronym Kcse. That is K.C.A.A.S.E. K for knowledge, C for comprehension, A for application, A for analysis, S for synthesis, and E for evaluation. Meaning, some questions may just require simple knowledge. Others will test comprehension skills. Others will test the candidate's ability to apply the information he has or the knowledge he has. Others require analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Knowledge questions may require remembering of facts, remembering terms, definitions, and concepts. Comprehension questions will require understanding of the meaning of material, explaining, interpreting, summarizing, giving examples, predicting, and translating. Application questions require selecting a concept or a skill and using it to solve a problem, make computations, apply, modify, or construct. In analysis questions, analysis would simply mean breaking down material into its parts and explaining the relationships, while synthesis involves producing something after having broken down the material to its component parts. When it comes to evaluation, one is making a judgment based on a pre-established set of criteria. Setup. The easiest way to practice higher order skills would be group activities. There are varieties of groups that one can engage as a way of practicing and training higher order skills. I have in mind whole class discussions, panels, symposia, debates, committees, small groups, buzz sessions, jury trials, syndicates, storming. These are just but names of varieties of group work that a candidate may engage in as a way of improving their thinking skills, especially the higher order skills. We then now move to some of the tips that may help a candidate perform well in question 1. My first piece of advice to a candidate would be to enhance their reading skills. Reading skills are taught at all levels of learning, but for a candidate preparing for K.C.S.E, reading skills become necessary. One of the tips I would give would be the SQ3R method. The SQ3R method, and some people talk of the SQ4R method, is a tried and tested method of dealing with comprehension questions. Candidates would be expected, for example, if they're using the Q in the SQ3R, to use the questions given in the passage as an aid to understanding the passage. I would, for example, suggest that one reads the questions. By merely reading the questions before reading the passage, one gets to know what the passage is all about. It is a better aid to reading in the sense that as one reads the passage, one already knows what to expect, what to give prominence, and some may even underline the answers as they read and even know which questions the answers they have underlined are answering, and therefore even number the answers they come across in the passage. It is also well known that a second or a third reading improves one's understanding of the passage. So I would want to encourage the students that however difficult it can be in an exam, make sure you read at least once or twice. Read the passage once or twice, or even 3 times if time allows. Secondly, when answering comprehension questions, always refer to the passage. Do not rely on knowledge from outside the passage. When the topic is familiar to you, you tend to answer from your head. Therefore, it is important that we advise against using knowledge from outside the passage unless the question expressly requires you to use knowledge from elsewhere or from outside the passage. Some of the reading skills that one may use, and therefore they require practice: survey, skimming. In survey, we are just dealing with the general appearance of the passage. For example, just looking at the title, or if the passage has subtitles, you are looking at the subtitles to give you a clue as to what the passage is all about. Skimming. Skimming is a skill which enables you to get the gist of the passage. Scanning. When you are scanning, you are looking for a specific piece of information. We also teach extensive reading for general knowledge. Intensive reading is for detailed analysis, while critical reading requires one to comment on outstanding aspects of the passage and to make judgment on the literary strengths and weaknesses of the passage. I wish to suggest to candidates that they pay special attention to the following 3 questions. 1. Yes, no questions. 2. Contrast questions. And 3. Questions on irony. Yes/no questions have a two-part answer. One part, you should say yes in answer to the question or no. But you don't stop there. Proceed and give an explanation. The temptation might be to just give an explanation or just to say yes or no, but both steps are required. When you are contrasting things, it is always good to talk about the two sides. If you are contrasting two things, then it would be necessary for you to say one is black and one is white, instead of just saying the contrast is that one is white. Questions on irony require that you bring out the irony by mentioning what is and how it is the opposite of what is expected. Because irony comes out when we have the opposite of what is expected. For example, it is ironical that Wanyoike grieves for his wife, yet he is the one who caused her death. So words like yet, while, when might help you to bring out the two sides. It will not be a full answer if the question is on irony for one to just say, it is ironical that Wanyoike grieves for his wife. We now move to questions on meanings of words and phrases. Very common questions in question 1. When confronted with a question on the meaning of a word or a phrase, there are several issues that I would like to suggest that you consider. 1. There are two ways of giving your answer. Either give a synonym if it's a word. Number 2, it is important that you give the meaning according to the context. That is to say, as the word is used in the passage and not necessarily the dictionary meaning of the word. Many words are polysemic, and therefore, should you just give the meaning that comes to your mind, then you run the risk of giving a meaning that is not according to this context, to the context of the passage. For example, the word appreciate in different contexts can mean different things. Appreciate could mean increase in value. It also means be grateful, express your gratitude. The word tablet, when used in an information and technology context, would mean a type of computer. But in a different context, maybe in a medical context, a tablet would be a form of medicine. When you are giving the meaning of a word, avoid it completely in your explanation. Look for other words. Sometimes when we use the same word or a form of that word in our explanation, we may end up not explaining the word. Mind the tense of the word. If a word is in past tense, explain its meaning in the past tense. Next, mind the word class. For example, if a word is a noun, then explain it as a noun. And if it is a verb, explain it as a verb. Take, for instance, the word love. Love is both a noun and also a verb. So choose whether you're going to explain love as a verb or love as a noun. And lastly, I wish to encourage candidates that it is very possible to get a meaning of a word that is totally new to you using the context. For example, take a word like this. I want to suppose you may not have come across it. A word like inebriated. Inebriated. I-N-E-B-R-I-A-T-E-D. This word, standing alone, may sound very new to you. Maybe take a moment and try to think. What is the meaning of the word inebriated? I will go ahead and use it in a context and still ask you the same question. Chances are you are going to get it right. Let me try. The man staggered out of the club, totally inebriated. His 2 feet could not support him. The man staggered out of the club, totally inebriated. His 2 feet could not support him. Does it now give you a meaning of the word inebriated? Chances are that you got it right. Inebriated, drunk, intoxicated, very tipsy. Did you get it? All right. Still on questions regarding words, I wish to talk about words in quotes. When a word is in quotes, that should suggest to you that it has acquired a different meaning from the usual. For example, if I gave you the phrase, Good Samaritans, and I put it in quotes, you should understand that it is no longer Good Samaritan as we know it. Sometimes we talk of private developers, for example, in the sentence. The private developers, in quotes, have been cutting trees on our school compound. That should suggest to you that those are not developers. So most of the time, words in quotes would suggest that they have a new meaning and sometimes an ironical one. So be careful in understanding words in quotes so that you don't miss the meaning that the writer or the user intends. That takes me to another issue that is important in question 1, or the passage question. Usually, passages may carry the names of the writer, the source of the passage. These two can be an important aid in giving you a background to the passage. For instance, if the writer is a Black American, chances are that the passage could be having something to do with slavery, race relations, discrimination. A writer from South Africa may have something like apartheid, race relations, and therefore the writer's name or the source of the passage may sometimes be useful in helping you get a background to the passage, and therefore the passage becomes comprehensible. And when it is comprehensible, then it means that you will answer those questions very comfortably. And with that, I come to the end of question 1. A number of issues which I have not addressed in question 1 will be addressed in the next video on question 2. It is important to know that there are some questions that cross the boundary. For example, questions on the meanings of words, making notes, writing summaries, stylistic devices, and many others. Watch my video on K.C.S.E. English, question 2. Thank you, and please kindly subscribe and tell others about this video for the sake of our Form 4 students.